Chapter 1. The Unexpected at the Themed Hotel. Am I the god of killing in the Republic of China? Cold, bone-chilling cold. Wei Junlin suddenly opened his eyes. The first thing that caught his sight was damp, moldy stone walls, with water dripping from the corners. On the ground, it pooled into a dark red stain. The air was thick with a strong smell of blood and rust. Damn! He instinctively cursed, trying to move his body. But he found himself tightly bound with rough hemp ropes, securely tied to a cold wooden cross. His shirt was torn and ragged, and a sharp pain radiated from his chest. The last fragments of his memory were at a hotel named Eden. Pink lights, champagne, and that in turn accent fresh out of college, with pure eyes and a hint of seduction. She brought a glass filled with tempting champagne to his lips, her gaze dreamy, breath fragrant. Teacher Luo, in the chaotic night. He only remembered her holding onto him tightly, her nails almost digging into his flesh, unable to distinguish whether it was painful entanglement or extreme infatuation. Just like now, he couldn't tell if the pain in his chest was from the binding ropes or from the mad scratches in that memory. And then, after the madness, he slipped on a damn bar of soap in the bathroom. Yi Junlin, a man who had dominated the financial and romantic circles of the 21st century. With a handsome face and a set of Sea King's techniques, he drove countless socialites and CEOs crazy. How could he end up in such an absurd way? He was unwilling to accept it. At that moment, a crisp, metallic-sounding set of footsteps approached. Tap, tap, tap. The footsteps stopped in front of him. Yi Junlin raised his head. It was a man who was excessively young, dressed in a sharp North China Army officer uniform. His black knee-high leather boots shone brightly, and the handle of a cold gun peeked out from the holster at his waist. He was tall, with a straight posture, and his hat was pulled low. Only a sharply defined jaw and a pair of thin, merciless lips were visible. Awake? The man's voice was cold, carrying an undeniable authority. Yi Junlin didn't answer. His brain was racing. This wasn't the modern era. North China Army. The Republic of China? Did he time travel? This body wasn't his. Although still young and handsome, the muscle lines were more explosive. There were thick calluses on the tiger's mouth of his palm, left from years of gun handling. More importantly, waves of unfamiliar memory fragments were flooding into his mind. The Hong Gang. Second in command. The jade-faced Yama. Luo Qin. I'm asking you a question. The officer's voice grew impatient as he stepped forward, light streaming in from behind him, outlining his features under the brim of his hat. Yi Junlin's breath caught at that moment. It was a face, beautiful beyond gender, with sword-like brows and starry eyes, a high-nosed bridge, and skin as pale as one who had long been out of the sun. Though sporting a neat short haircut and deliberately masculine attire, the slightly upturned corners of his eyes and the delicate, Adam's apple-less skin at his neck silently betrayed her true identity. A woman trying to wrap her stunning beauty in the hardest armor in the world. What's worse, in the original owner Luo Qin's fragmented memories, he found this face. Lin Huyin, the only daughter of the warlord Lin, who grew up in a military camp, with a solitary and proud personality, ruthless methods, known as Major Lin, and a secret only Luo Qin himself knew. 3 years ago, during a gang fight, he had casually saved a desperate girl being hunted down. At that time, she was dressed just like this. Yi Junlin's lips curled up, forming a faint, playful arc. He understood all the emotions in her gaze at that moment. The tension trying to be masked by coldness, the rush of power during the interrogation, and beneath it all, the deepest, most secret, admiration and affection for her savior, which even she herself had not noticed. A perfect, top-notch prey. Lin Huyin was stirred by a sudden smile. Her brows furrowed, and the whip in her hand rose suddenly. With a whoosh, it stopped precisely beside Yi Junlin's cheek, just a centimeter from his skin. What are you laughing at? She asked coldly. Yi Junlin didn't look at the whip, almost touching his face. His gaze remained locked on her eyes, as if trying to penetrate all her disguises and reach deep into her soul. He didn't answer her question, but spoke in a hoarse tone, tinged with a hint of weakness and nostalgia. Softly uttering a phrase only the two of them could comprehend. Is your injury healed? Lin Huyin's body stiffened as if struck by lightning. 3 years ago, on that stormy night, he had hidden her under a bridge. She had been shot in the arm, blood flowing uncontrollably. When he tore off a piece of his clothing to bandage her, the first thing he asked was this. Identical. Her hand, gripping the whip, began to tremble uncontrollably. Chapter 2. Does this woman have a crush on me? The air seemed to freeze. Lin Huiyan's mask, sculpted from frost, showed a crack. Her hand, gripping the whip, trembled increasingly, her knuckles turning white from the force. For 3 years, she had trained frantically and adhered to iron discipline, turning herself into an indestructible blade. She thought she had buried the embarrassment and excitement of that rainy night deep in her memory. But this man, with just one sentence, had effortlessly unearthed that grave. I don't know what you're talking about. She finally spoke, but her voice was no longer as cold as before. Instead, it carried a dryness she hadn't even noticed herself. She abruptly withdrew the whip, turning her back to Yi Junlin, as if unwilling to let him see her expression at that moment. Looks like you're not going to come clean. She tried to regain the initiative in the interrogation. What's your connection to the stolen batch of penicillin? Yi Junlin looked at her straight, yet slightly stiff back, his smile deepening. A woman, when she begins to vehemently deny something, only proves that thing is her most fatal weakness. Penicillin? He chuckled lightly, his voice tinged with self-mockery and calm. Major Lin, do you think a prisoner who doesn't even know why he's here would know the whereabouts of such things? He didn't directly deny it, but threw the question back at her with a rhetorical question. This was a negotiation tactic and the first step in psychological warfare. Lin Huiyan didn't turn around, only snorted coldly. In my presence, there are no innocent people. Only mouths that can be pried open and the dead that cannot. Her words remained harsh, but Yi Junlin could tell that it was merely a facade of bravado. The show was about to escalate. Yi Junlin slowly inhaled, using a lighter, more penetrating voice to say, 3 years ago, you were shot with a German Mauser bullet. The bullet lodged in the outer side of your left arm's triceps. If I'm not mistaken, on rainy days, doesn't your wound still ache faintly? Lin Huiyan's body jolted. This detail, besides her and the military doctor who secretly operated on her back then, no one else could possibly know. She could no longer hold back, abruptly turning around, her beautiful phoenix eyes revealing shock and a hint of unmistakable panic for the first time. You. How do you know? I not only know this. Yi Junlin's gaze was like a precise scalpel, slowly and inch by inch dissecting her. I also know that beneath this military uniform, you tightly wrapped your chest with 3 layers of thick white cloth. Boom. This sentence exploded in Lin Huiyan's mind like a thunderclap. Her cheeks flushed from pale white to a sickly crimson. This was more humiliating and made her feel more exposed than being stripped naked. This was her biggest secret. It was a disguise she adopted to establish herself among men, to make herself look not like a woman. You. She raised her hand, instinctively wanting to draw the gun at her waist, her voice changing pitch from shame and anger. You're looking for death. I'm just trying to remind you. Major General Lin. Yi Junlin met her nearly murderous gaze, his tone unusually calm, even carrying a hint of pity. Harming yourself to disguise strength will not truly make you strong. It will only make you more painful. After saying this, he slowly closed his eyes, appearing to be at the mercy of fate. He knew that today's performance had reached its peak. One more word would be superfluous. One less word would be insufficient. Now, what he needed to do was wait quietly. To wait for the seed he had sown, named shock and empathy, to take root and sprout in her heart. The prison fell into a dead silence. Only the sound of water dripping in the corner and Lin Huiyan's rapid, suppressed breathing, fluctuating with intense emotions, could be heard. Time passed second by second. After an unknown period, Lin Huiyan's gaze, which seemed to devour, finally slowly calmed down little by little. In its place was an unprecedented and extremely complex scrutiny. She looked at the man before her, bound to the torture rack, clearly at an absolute disadvantage, yet seeming to control everything. He was no longer just the legendary Yume Yenluo, nor was he the savior from that rainy night. He had become a riddle, a dangerous riddle that could see through all her disguises and uncover all her secrets. At that moment, a messenger hurried and he whispered a few words in Lin Huiyan's ear, then handed her a small metal box. Major General, the latest truth serum sent from America, said to be effective even on the most stubborn prisoners. Lin Huiyan opened the box, revealing a syringe filled with a transparent liquid. Her gaze fell on the syringe, then slowly moved to Yi Junlin's handsome yet pale face. Her eyes began to struggle violently. Rationality, told her this was the best opportunity to pry open his mouth. But deep down, an emotional voice was frantically stopping her. In the end, it seemed she had made some kind of decision, squeezing out a few words through clenched teeth. "Bring it over." She took the syringe, filled it with the liquid, and step by step walked towards the closed-eyed Yi Junlin. The needle glinted coldly and dangerously under the dim light. She stood before him, looking down at him, her voice regaining a hint of coldness. "I'll give you one last chance. Speak or not speak." Yi Junlin slowly opened his eyes, looking at the needle tips so close, and those eyes that tried to cover inner struggles with coldness. He smiled. Then, in a voice so soft that only the two of them could hear, he said something that left Lin Huiying completely stunned. "Are you coming in person? I'm afraid you will feel heartbroken." Lin Huiying's hand trembled violently, and the needle instantly pierced his skin.